As you slowly begin to open your eyes and whatnot, you feel somewhat groggy. And you look around yourself, and there's nothing around you but a deep, dark void and two people in front of you. One being Elm, as she looks at you with a bit more malice, a bit more hatred and whatnot than she usually does. And Queen Glory as well, as she looks at you, and you can see blood dripping down her jaw as she coughs a small little bit. And you see Elm as she looks at you, kind of raises up an eyebrow. I just can't believe that of all the things you would end up serving somebody who practically took everything away from you, from everyone and whatnot. I mean, look at me. I ended up having such a very hard, very terrible life. And I didn't end up crawling to the first person who ended up even looking at me with any form of half decent care. I at least had some respect for myself.
I I don't understand what's Glimmer's just going to look around a bit, kind of taking in the fact that there's nothing going on here and other than what's being said and who's here, and frankly the hurtful words are just they're digging deep.
You end up watching as Queen Glory kind of coughs a little bit, more blood spewing out as it sprays onto the ground. The crimson color just ever so slightly off. Everything's strange, it's different, it's wrong here. And you see Queen Glory, she looks at you and she says, I sent you out on a mission, having pity on you like one would a lame puppy missing a leg, giving you a bone, throwing it to you in order to at least end up giving you something. But you're just never able to seemingly fill that void, even whenever I give you such a simple task of go and find out what's going on and stop it. And what do? You end up immediately siding with somebody who is just like you. Pathetic, alone, nobody that cares for them. The rebel faction. And that's whenever in your head you start to remember the very beginning of how everything ended up going, with you immediately more or less siding with the rebellion without getting any form of information, simply due to the fact that they said things were bad over here, that they needed some help.
Maybe you're right, but I don't I don't understand. Why would it be me that you wanted to send here then if you knew I was not right for it?
Come on.
She's trying to piece it together in her head that something isn't right here, even through the hurtful words. And
Do you really, truly want to know? I mean, you're already so fragile as is. Look at you, the amount of times that you end up looking at your own burnt hand from the lava. Look at you on how you end up running this way and that way like any other puppy trying to please its master so that way it can end up having even one person care about it. I sent you because I can't stand you. I want you away from me. Elm quickly ends up piping up as well as she looks at you. I don't even want you. You stole me away whenever I rightfully had every opportunity in order to try and fight and kill the dragon who ended up killing everyone that I loved. Out of everybody in this world, wouldn't you be the one person to understand that? But no. No. Righteous, ever correct Glimmer knows everything.
I I I don't do that. I'm not like that.
No.
And she's going to
Oh,
look down at the burnt hand of hers and wonder, wait, did she ever show the queen the burn? Because as far as she remembers, she always has it wrapped up. Always did.
no, you would not have ended up showing the queen your burn.
Yeah. I was confirming that.
Yep. Slowly, step by step, Queen Glory will end up walking up to you, and this is whenever you begin to realize that just behind your character is a large chasm. And she places her talons on Glimmer's chest and slowly begins to push just slightly more and more and more. And it doesn't feel right. You've served Queen Glory your entire life, and it doesn't feel like her. But at the exact same time, you almost don't want to end up fighting it. The sheer amount of guilt and pain that it is that you are feeling from the last while suddenly clicks in your mind, and as it does, you end up hearing in the background, just ever so softly, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to, I'm sorry, please, no, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to, I'm sorry, I didn't mean that, I'm sorry. And you hear Queen Glory end up saying, just give up, let it go, it can be all over.
No. No. That's not. That's not why I'm here. I'm not here to give up. Just because everything's gone wrong doesn't mean I should give up. I'm still alive, and as long as I'm still alive, I'm going to keep going. There's no reason to just roll over and die because I messed up. I'm never going to just... She's practically on the verge of tears at this point, and some part of her is very much wanting to give up. She's not going to deny that to herself. But the vocal part of her, that part of her that she always took the lead on everything in her life, can't ignore it. She wants to keep going.
As you say that, slowly but surely, Queen Glory ends up fading and disappearing as the pressure on your chest of her pushing in order to push you over the edge into the chasm disappears. However, you see Elm begin to make her way up and does the same thing as she places her hand on your chest and slowly begins to push in order to throw you into the chasm, little by little, the strength of the push increasing, as she ends up saying, "Even though it's your fault that sword died, even though it's your fault the village ended up falling, even though it's your fault that you put every single last innocent civilian in one place just so that way they could end in a fantastically horrific and agonizing explosion."
And what would you have me do? I don't know what I'm doing. I'm doing what I can. If it doesn't work, then fine. Maybe somebody will kill me. Maybe it'll be over that way, but I'm not going to just let failure be the end of it.
Even
You should
when
know that.
even when that failure costs other people their lives who could help so much better than you. And her hand as well feels wrong. Doesn't feel right. It's not Elm. But it sure
What
sounds like it.
what are you? This isn't real.
I'm the inner thoughts in your head. The ever nagging feeling that you're not doing enough or doing it right or only making things worse. I'm the chasm behind you. And as she says that, slowly more pieces of the ground that it is that you're standing on begins to crumble away and fall little by little, making the chasm ever bigger and ever deeper.
What what do you mean? You're not me. This is not real. And whoever you are, leave me alone. My thoughts are mine. Stay out. She's gonna grab whatever person this Elm imposter is and try to push back.
You do so without any real effort in doing so, pushing her back away from you, allowing yourself the ability to walk forward into what you assume to at least be the exit to this place.
Glimmer would certainly do that.
You do, slowly leaving. And as you end up exiting this area, you slowly begin to finally reawaken from the slumber that you were in. Slowly you begin to open your eyes, confused, not really remembering all too much. And as you begin looking around, you notice you're basically in a void. There's nothing around you. Nothing except for some flames that don't look right. Moss, who doesn't appear to be her normal self right now. And Blackwood, of all people, your mother. Elm ends up looking at you first, and she tilts her head to the side. Seriously, I think I've absolutely had enough of you. You're coddling and you're treating me as if I'm so fragile that I might end up breaking at just a simple glance from somebody. You're smothering me, like you end up smothering basically everybody else that I can end up seeing. trying to step in the way, trying to put yourself in between everything. It's too much. I can't handle it. How can you live with yourself being like this?
This guy is just going to stare in. Just wonder what was going on. Then look towards Blackwood. She's just going to try and think through things, try to feel how everything around her is, because sitting in this void, she just doesn't feel right.
Blackwood ends up looking at you and kind of scoffs a small little bit. You know, as a child, I thought maybe you'd end up growing to be something bigger, prouder. But honestly, you really haven't grown up to do much of anything. You end up mostly living on your own, not really interacting too much with a whole lot of the other dragons besides mostly just me and your father. We pretty much have to coddle you more than anything. Sure, maybe you've, finally accepted a job from the queen herself in order to go over to this land, and that's when you suddenly begin to remember that you were on a ship and you ended up going out and you made it to the island or the continent, whatever it was, and met some rebels. As she continues, and oh, I cannot believe you ended up letting her get caught so many times. Not only are you just really overburdening on anyone that you end up being with, but you fail at it too. You're not even good at your own job.
No. Frosted starts to speak and just falters for a moment and just she does her best to take a deep breath to say herself and just glares back at what looks like Blackwood. I think I'm starting to feel I'm feeling as if that none of this is quite real at the moment. Because I know that of all people, my mother wouldn't speak to anyone like that unless they provoked her. And yes, I know that failed, and I feel as if I failed in another way, but that is why whatever is going on in the real world, that's why I'm going to make sure that I actually do something about it. So, how about you two mockeries of those I know, tell me what's going on here.
You see Moss in particular kind of turn a little bit around, facing away from you. Right, you'll end up taking care of it. Similarly to how you ended up taking care of me while you ended up doing nothing in order to help Sword or Mantis as they were falling. Especially when you were right there and you could have ended up making it, but you didn't. You chose to let them fall. And Blackwood ends up taking a few steps towards you at this point. And similarly to how you had already ended up suspecting, as she ends up placing her claws on your chest, it doesn't feel right. You've known your mother forever. She's helped to carry you, feed you, take care of you, play with you, but her touch it's wrong, it's hollow. And she slowly begins to, gently at first, but slowly applying more and more pressure, push at your chest. And this is when you notice just behind you there is a small cliff leading down into a chasm that you can't see the bottom of. And it's around this time that you hear, just in the background, unable to quite make out who it is that's saying it, just begins to say,
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. I'm sorry. Please, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. Please.
Having go to Moss in the real Frostpine, hearing the begging for forgiveness, she suspects that whatever's going on is part has to do with Moss's magic. Frostpine is just going to push right back, but not using her sound, just going to continue to step forward, pushing her chest back against the talons that are pressing against her, just glaring at this fake of her mother. I know what my mother's strength is like, and I know that I don't fully have it. I don't have that strength. Not yet. Maybe I never will. But I know that you don't have that type of strength. You aren't. I don't want to see. I think that you are nothing but a worm compared to her. And if I am anything like her, and if I am anything like my father, then I know that you don't matter, and that you're simply a figment of Moss's guilt and whatever her magic is. And I know that she can be strong enough to control the likes of you. So, how about we just move away from here? And she just does her best to continue walking forward, pushing back.
as you do, slowly but surely, you feel Blackwood's possibly fakeness disappear. And eventually you see Moss kind of turn back to you. And she comes up and looks directly up at you. It would be so much easier if you just let go.
Let go of what? Let go of Moss? Let go of wanting to be someone who others can rely on? Let go of trying to live up to what I saw from my mother that all those years ago? Because I won't. I am going to, no matter how much I failed, I am going to make up for it. I am going to stand by those who stand by me. And even if they end up having more power than me, then what they lack in their own strength past their power, I will lend some of mine. And as for you, you are never to be in my head or mosses again, because all I am feeling from you is insecurities. And if there's one thing that Moss doesn't need, it is insecurities about herself and her power. And she needs to learn control. Because I know that she can manage that. And you do not need any place in that.
Oh, but I'm not her insecurities. I'm yours. The more you end up protecting her and abandoning the others behind, you'll only leave a body every step of the way. You'll end up killing hordes of people, hordes of dragons. You'll leave bloodshed in your wake just for one person who the world would be better without. And she places her hand on your chest at this point, much, much weaker than Blackwood's, but slowly begins to try and push you towards the chasm as well.
It does seem as if this affects Proserpine a bit more, but she does end up sort of stopping herself from going any further towards the ledge. Just goes down the fake moss. And I will live with that insecurity because I know that no matter how dangerous Moss is, it is not her fault that she ended up the way she is. And in fact, I plan to encourage her to embrace her power, because it is her gift. Is her responsibility, and I know that I have resulted in deaths. I know that I need to do so much more. And I don't think I'll ever be able to fully forgive myself for failing Sword, or failing all those innocent humans. But that's something that I'll just have to shoulder, won't I? That she just steps back from the fake moss and then just tries to step over her. Now, if you excuse me, I'm going to try and figure out a way to reach the to reach the real Moss and tell her that I'm sorry for being too much.
And as you begin to make your way out and whatnot, slowly making your way towards what you assume to be the exit, she stays there, not moving, and just says as you begin to leave, "I'm glad you feel that way, but I'm curious on how many bodies is gonna weigh on her conscience until she eventually does what you cannot and take her own life." And before you get a chance to answer, your eyes snap wide open again as you begin to wake up and look around you. As you slowly begin to close your eyes and whatnot, you fall into a very deep, deep sleep. And the first thing that you recognize whenever you wake up is you're in almost a void. There's practically nothing around you except for two people specifically. You end up seeing Mantis, your wife, though it doesn't look right. It's off. It's strange. And not only do you end up seeing Mantis, but you end up seeing Sword, and Sword looks perfectly fine, which is odd for you. I mean, you know that she's perfectly fine right now. She's okay, but something in the back of your mind is clawing at you, trying to tell you something, some form of warning, something that's wrong, but it doesn't quite end up coming to the forefront. You end up seeing these unusual, ghostly looking lights of maybe white, maybe a little bit of purple, a bit of pinkish. The colors are all wrong. Everything's wrong here. You don't know exactly what's going on. And that's whenever Mantis kind of looks over at you. You... Look, I've tried and tried and tried, and we've been married for so long now. But I just can't do it anymore.
What do you mean? He's kind of stunned, surprised, fucking panicking.
I'm sorry, but I've tried as hard as I possibly could. I've taken care of you as much as I possibly could with your illness, but I just can't do it anymore. All this is just work. It's all that this relationship has ever been is work, work, work. And now, of all the times you're yelling at people and whatnot, and that's whenever, right there in the back of your mind, part of your memories kind of resurface into the forefront. You start to remember, oh yeah, Mantis was taken away, she was teleported. And then you remember something about her being with the king and whatnot. And the moment you remember that she was with the king, suddenly she ends up saying, and besides, I found somebody else who has piqued my interest more than you.
Isopod has started shaking some. He is starting to feel hot, feeling tears prick at his eyes. What? Mantis, what? Why? Who? He's like, oh, he's having a freak out here.
Yep. And in the background, as you're talking and hearing all this and whatnot, you can't quite make out who is speaking, but you don't recognize the voice. And all you hear in the background is,
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. I'm sorry. Please, I'm sorry. I didn't mean for this. I know. I'm sorry. I said it a long time ago. I'm sorry.
and the voice kind of fades back out into the background. And as it does, this whenever Sword finally looks over at you. You know, you could have saved me. And you know what? I think the real reason why you're so mad at everyone and you're so angry and whatnot is because, sure, maybe some of the blame's on them, but you blame yourself more than anyone else for my death. And that's whenever the memories quickly begin to come back to the forefront of your mind again. You remember the mansion, you remember Sword falling and whatnot, and you remember trying to end up making a choice as you were panicking whenever Sword ended up taking the choice away from you and slit her own wrist. You remember all of it. And she looks at you and she says, "You're mad specifically because you could have ended up saving us both. If you had ended up casting that spell on the both of us instead of just one, you might have been able to do it. but you didn't. So you truly blame yourself. You hate yourself truly more than anyone else, but that's hard for you to end up taking lightly, and so you blame everyone else, so you don't have to blame yourself.
Isopod kind of grips at his chest, his heart's pounding, and he's oh, I tried, oh God, Sword, I tried so hard. Nobody. I wanted.
And
Sword, please. I'm
this
so sorry.
is where Mantis ends up slowly making her way up towards you. And this is whenever you begin to realize that you are currently backed up right exactly where there is a cliff. Any farther and you will end up falling down. It is too narrow on the sides for you to be able to pull your wings out. You will fall all the way down, either scraping and scratching in order to try and slow yourself, or potentially just unable to slow your descent, and you will fall the exact same way the both of them ended up doing. And you can feel Mantis bring her arm up and kind of put it up against your chest as she slowly begins to push. You can feel her touch just doesn't feel right. It's like it's not her. Not really. You would recognize the feeling of your wife no matter what situation, and it doesn't feel right.
After realizing this isn't, none of this is right. Icepod kind of gets an angry look. He's like, "Who are you really? You aren't Mantis."
Maybe not. Or maybe I am. Maybe I'm the version of her in your head. Everyone has regrets. Everyone has thoughts that they don't like. I'm one of them. And as you've kind of said this, slowly but surely you can feel the pressure begin to lessen on your chest. Not because she's stopped pushing, but because slowly, as you begin to realize what it is that you have said, slowly her form begins to fade until eventually she is gone. However, you then end up seeing Sword kind of turn and make her way over and whatnot, and looks up at you. You know, if I was still here, I'd probably end up taking back that little shard. And I would end up driving it through you, since you're practically the one who's made it so that way I can never truly rest easily. And as she ends up going to do the exact same thing, you see she reaches out and starts to kind of push you a little bit as well. However, this one feels a little different. For some reason, this one actually feels real. And as you begin to realize that, you notice something in Sword's eyes that you did not notice in Mantis's. The desire and the want to do anything else except for what is happening right now, to literally be anywhere else and do anything else than what she is currently doing of trying to push you over the chasm.
there's no way to go except down, isn't there?
No, the only exit is forward, past Sword.
Oh,
And
okay.
the only way in order to, well, lose and die is to fall down the chasm, which you slowly begin to realize is your own anger, your own sadness, and your own depression that you have been holding over yourself since coming to this island.
Hmm. Icepod's kind of looking down at Sword. Yeah, he's stunned that she's actually doing that, but he also realizes the look in her eyes, and he tries to knock her down to the ground just to disable her.
It's not too difficult. You end up taking your clawed hand and, not in a violent way, but you end up pushing her onto the ground and keeping your claws over her to pin her to the ground. And it's strange. Whenever you touched Mantis, it didn't feel right. It didn't feel real. It didn't feel like her. But as you're doing this with Sword, you don't get that feeling.
Sword, if this really is you right now, I am sorry that it ended that way. I did try, and both of you are right. I do blame myself so much for this. I don't want to, but sometimes I wonder if maybe if I make people's lives worse. I mean, you died because I couldn't save both of you, and you saw that. You saw that, and you took away that choice, and I blame myself because I wasn't fast enough. I couldn't save her and you at the same time. He's kind of hearing his tears that have been kind of standing, finally beginning to actually fall. And maybe nobody else deserved as much blame as I've given out. No, they didn't.
Just
This isn't.
fall. Just give in. It'll all be over. And you feel the ground behind you cracking. A couple pieces and chunks of the unusual cave that you're in begins to fall into the void, making it slightly larger and larger, slowly beginning to make its way towards you as she continues to try and, metaphorically at this point, push you over the edge, get you to stay and give in instead of leave, to allow the nightmare that you've currently found yourself in to finish what it started.
I can't do that. He's trying to find. He kind of picks up this nightmare version of Swordwell Yeah, and starts running. He just starts running forward.
You do so, and you quickly begin making your way towards what you assume is the exit. You're not sure. And eventually, as you do, your eyes snap back open, and you look around as to where you are at the moment.